very good.
Yeah, I had a dream about me flying, and it was just awesome. I had some really great dreams last night with other people and flying. It was good.
It's Cheryl here from London.
Yes, I am.
This is about you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to hear your tone.
Thank you.
About 5 nights ago, I woke up about probably 4:30 in the morning, and let me tell you, I was shaking and vibrating. I haven't had an experience like this in years. I don't know why I was focused on you, but I connected with you, and I teleport. What it was is we had the kind of telephones you could see each other over the phone. And I asked you to turn it on, and we could see one another. And then I stepped back, and you kept saying I could still see you, and I knew you were I was out of range where you couldn't see me. So I just had a feeling come over me, one that I'm familiar with. I can't explain, but you know it when you have it. And I told you, I said, right now, I can teleport, or I can teleport you. And with that, I just connected on you just like you went on Star Trek. I locked on to you, and I teleported to London, to your flat, your apartment, the room you were in. And I was there, and it was just strange because everything was bright, and it seemed like it had the decor or something that reminded me of the Queen. Maybe your outfit looked like you had a hat on, but you were it looked like you had kind of a bright skin. I don't know if it was just the lighting or what, and a slender face in a way. But you had a hat. I think it was just, I don't know, animated, cartoonish, but it was really real, and I was there with your essence. You know what I mean, Cheryl? I was there. I was there with you. And if I remember correctly, I think I brought you here to Georgia. And then at the last, I brought you back and placed you back there. I want to ask, did you experience any kind of strong dreams or anything within the last 4 or 5 days? Anything unusual?
Yeah, the only thing that's sort of different, I woke up feeling really energized. I mean, really energized, like almost hyped. Few mornings ago. The only dream that I did remember was just about my daughter, so I wrote that down. But I just woke up feeling really energized, and just it was kind of a bit different than before.
Yeah, that was it. That's when it happened. And people don't always remember, but there was a time and on my path that I used to do that a lot more frequently. I used to go to people and get them and take them to different places, to Crystal City or different places like that. But this journey happens in sections or phases. One time I'm with people and then they start. I know before 2013, I was seeing, when I sit back, I could see balls of bright white liquid plasma light dripping out the ceiling. Real slow and deliberate. And I would see that, and I thought to myself, that must be jets passing over, figured passenger jets, or some kind of plane passing over, and they were dropping something like that, and it was going through the ceiling. And then I lined it up with my mind, and I could see that it was dropping through the ceiling right exactly where I lay my head when I sleep. And then I was thinking to myself, it's a 2-story house. So it had to go through the roof, and then that ceiling, and then that floor, and then the subfloor, and then come through this ceiling, and be dropping down exactly in that spot. But I was further thinking when I was walking, taking my walk, well, how would they know every time to make that drop right down to where it's dropping straight in my head like that? These drops of white light, liquid light, are dropping right down in my head. And then years later, I had this vision of Yahshua, the Messiah, being baptized in the Jordan by John, his cousin, separated by 6 months. When the craft came over them, and a prototype of the angel Gabriel, which they preserve cryogenically, semen samples of, and then when they go to different worlds that elevating consciousness to, they reach the level of awareness where they're ready to receive a light being like that. They thaw out a sample and they inject into the testes of one of well-made black man, just like they did thousands of years ago. And the angel Gabriel, accompanied by the Messiah, accompanied by the angel Melchizedek, came down to Mary, who was betrothed to her husband Joseph, and he lifted her robe and said, "Hail Mary, full of grace." And he went in unto her. And then as a result, she gave birth to that which was divine. The child that was a demigod, Jesus the Messiah, because he was a chimera that had 3 parents, Joseph and Mary, the mortals, and of course, he was overshadowed by the Holy Ghost, which was the angel Gabriel. And I just knew in my mind that that's what it was that was dripping down into my head. That spirit of that angel, that light. I don't know how I got to that place right there to start explaining that, but that's a reality, and it's as real as the feet on the end of your leg or your hand on the end of your arm. That happened. Right? Now, if you all are sufficiently confused, I'd like to hear what kind of a question you have in regards to that. Anyway, now, what I wanted to let the thrust of this class to be pointed at, proving to you all that everybody that's with me in these last days and times, you are for a fact chosen by the Most High Creator to be one of the 144,000 elite few righteous, regardless of what you think you are or what you think you're doing. And that's an honor that's been bestowed upon you that should be cherished and can only be reversed or cut off by you. So be careful with your thoughts, because forever is a very long time. Okay, brother, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The question I had was the angel Gabriel was he a man who had went into Mary, or was the spirit of angel?
It was a spirit, but that's why Joseph was involved in that act, because
so the spirit. So when you get straight,
they needed the X chromosome, the XY. They needed the Y chromosome, the male chromosome as well, to give birth to the male child. So
what I'm saying is, the spirit of Gabriel got into Joseph. That's what happened.
No, he overshadowed when Joseph and Mary, the same way my mother told me, a woman can sense that when there's another presence in the room during that time, especially if they overshadow their husband or whoever is their mate at that point. If they're spiritually sensitive, they can sense that there's another presence there. And that presence, that third presence in the room is the angel Gabriel.
Right. So he was inside the body of Joseph?
Well, it's not inside. It's that he was vibrating on a different frequency. Right?
Wow.
He came in the form of, let me explain, he came in the form of a well-made black man. Now, wherever you are in Baton Rouge, you're sitting down, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
All right. Now, where you sitting down in that physical chair, let me ask you, are you physical? Are you spiritual? Are you soulful? Are you etheric?
All of them.
That's right, right. But now, let me say, we can see the physical aspects of you just like you see your hand on the phone. But can we see, is your spiritual essence, the spiritual Terry, are you part of this three-dimensional realm right here where we can see you and touch you?
No, you can't see that.
Right. But is it less real than your physical form, yes or no?
I would say no.
No, it's not less real. Let me put it to you like this. It's more real. Because if I put the question to you like, during what you call death, what survives death? Is it the physical body or the spirit? In other words, can the body live without the spirit? Or can the spirit live without the body?
Yeah, the spirit can live without the body.
Exactly. So it's more real than the physical form. And I don't want to say that your spirit is in you, even if I know it is, in a sense that people, if I imagine them to think about planes, the 7 planes, they typically would imagine somebody going to a chalkboard and drawing layers of strata like steps piled one above the other. Like 1, 2, 3, like climbing up steps to go to higher planes. Because we have been programmed to think about things from a physical perspective. You follow me? Mm-hmm. But it's not layers of strata piled one above the next. It's actually intricately woven modes of vibration woven together so uniquely you can't tell where one ends and the other begins, just like your body and spirit. You follow?
Okay.
We know that your spirit is the light, and the light is the life, and it's the self-abrogating aspect of your body. But
right.
The interface of your physical body and your spirit is not that one overtakes the other. They exist in a common space on different frequencies in the same way that you have cable on your TV and you look at channel 19, but while you're tuned into that frequency, you're aware of channel 6, channel 25, channel 50, all these other channels are playing simultaneously on the same television in the same place at the same time, but you're only tuned in to channel 19 unless you pick up your remote and shift to another frequency. You follow what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. So, would you say Angel Gabriel was a physical man too, though, right?
Exactly. But he was still vibrating on a different frequency, the same way I was when I went to teleport to Shell.
Oh, all right. So he's vibrating on different. So the man,
Angel
Gabriel was vibrating on different frequencies.
Yeah. When I have spiritual blue light healing sessions with people here in this class, and I get them to raise their vibrations up, they can see a light emanating around their hands, a bluish green light. It's a blue light, actually. And it comes in first as a little fuzz around their fingers, and they can see it eventually as that light starts to permeate and come in and become more distinct. The tips of their fingers start disappearing to their physical eyes, and until they can see through their hands, they can see the wall around them. Now, it's not to say that the flesh man, it's not saying the flesh man or woman is being dissolved or moving out the way. It's just a realization of the truth, Terry. And the truth is there is no hand. You don't have a physical body. You follow me? So there was no physical man, Joseph, except that he and Mary were vibrating on the same frequency. So they appeared to be real. You follow what I mean? To one another. And everything in their environment appeared to be real and brought into focus like a channel on the TV. You follow?
All right.
And Gabriel came in at another frequency. So these beings are sophisticated enough and technologically advanced where they have learned how to train themselves to vibrate on different frequencies. So they can stand up in front of you and vibrate and shift into a frequency where you can't see them. Or a master, a man or woman, can elevate to a conscious level where they can go into meditation and stare at a wall. And they can tune into that frequency in deep meditation so intensely that they can raise or lower their vibrations to match the wall, right? And when their frequency of vibration matches that of the wall, they can stand up and walk right through it. You follow what I mean? It doesn't become an obstacle anymore, just like Joseph's body was an obstacle to Gabriel because they were vibrating on different frequencies. It's no different than a sister. Listen, a young sister, Jessica, came here with a lot of brothers that I've been teaching many years. And her husband, he was a student here in Millerfield that I taught probably the most. I knew he was when I taught the most. But he would have OBEs, or out-of-body experiences, so that when they were in bed together, he would vibrate on different frequency, and he would sink into the mattress. Do you understand? And I'm sure some of you all here have experienced that. How many of you here have had OBEs where you shrink, you put your hand through a wall, shrink, you dissolve into a mattress, or you go through a wall? How many of you have experienced that?
I have. I've had some experiences too with that.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. All right. I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you. I'm just saying, don't you say your spirit got to match the wall, or shouldn't it be higher than the wall? Where it's gonna go through? Does it match the wall? Both of them be physical then.
No, if it went higher than the wall, then it wouldn't be the same frequency. Who is it?
Denzel.
Brother. Denzel. Okay, I'm glad to hear your tone. I'm glad that you're here, brother. Okay, no, your frequency.
So if the vibrations go higher than the wall, you should be able to go through it then, right? Not match the wall,
you don't want,
right?
You want them to match the wall. You follow me?
Oh, it wouldn't be the same thing as it matched. Like both of them, if the wall is solid, though, right?
No, it's like your remote control has to match the frequency of the television to materialize the reality that you want to see and hear projected on the screen of the so-called TV.
I see what you're saying. I got you now. I got you saying now. I got you.
It's just like you driving in your car and you're trying to tune into a radio station like Randy or Tennessee because you want to hear good old music. You know how you have to go toggle your knob back and forward, and you miss it sometimes, the frequency, so that you get another channel coming in, and then you got to keep handling the knob back and forth until you dial into that frequency and get it in as clear as possible. You have to dial right into that frequency, just like the call you made here to get in class. On your phone, your dial pad, you're dealing with frequencies. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop. You hear different numbers that created different frequencies so that you dialed in specifically to this class, to this place with us. That's how you appear here. Had you hit one number out of place, you'd have been someplace else, don't you see? But we're here on a specific frequency. Everybody that's a part of the 144,000 right now tonight are dialed in and tuned in to this frequency with me. Are you following me? Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes when you talk to people on the phone, for example, you can get an interruption by somebody from Canada, and they start talking, and you say, "Who is this?" And they say, "Who are you?" And you keep, it's just an interference. Like here a long time ago, you used to hear a taxi cab or the police come over your TV when you had antennas. But this is how everything works. It works by frequencies. Just like you go outside, you see landlines. People used to depend on that for telecommunications. You can have landlines, telephone wires going all through the city. And each telephone wire might have fiber optics or 100,000 different frequency capabilities there. But you have to dial the exact right number to tune into the frequency that you want to connect with the person that you're trying to communicate with, right? Like I did with Cheryl. All it is you have to concentrate on the channel that you want and the reality that you want to pull up. And I had to find her frequency. You follow what I'm saying? And when I find her frequency and I dial into it, I am automatically in the same place as her. Do you follow me? Because there is no such thing as here or there. There's no distance. To say she's in London and I'm in America is just an illusion. Everything's in the exact same place at the same time, vibrating on different frequencies like Gabriel and Mary and Joseph. Again, to refresh you all, if you can imagine a dark, empty room, and all of us together with our hands holding hands in a circle, and then I break the circle and walk and put a lamp in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the circle, without a lampshade, and I turn it on bright, 100-watt bulb, real bright, and then I step back into the circle. And we all focus and visualize that bright light, that lamp in a dark room. Now I step out the circle again and I take a black lampshade and I cover that light up, Terry. And it's dark in the room again, even though we know there's a light. Like in the Bible, you hid your light under a bushel basket. And that's what people do when they deny the spiritual essence of themselves. These are shade things, playthings, or devils that they refuse to acknowledge the inner spirit or the Most High in them, or that spiritual aspect. They don't believe there's a light burning inside of them, but they don't try to explain why this inner light or sun in their solar plexus gives off light and heat, so that when your eyes are just in the dark, pretty soon you can make out faint shapes like furniture so that you can actually walk in the dark without bumping your knees and feet. You know, if there's a blackout and you're in the house and you leading your family through the house, and they say, "Daddy, go on in that room," and you say, wait a minute, don't push me, give me a chance to let my eyes adjust. You remember that, Terry? Terry? Do any of you all know what I'm talking about? When
hey, I hear you. I hear you. I got my phone muted.
All right.
Yeah, I got my phone muted.
Well, okay, but now after your eyes adjust to the darkness, you can see, but the light the catalyst you need to see in the dark is light. And if that light's not coming from outside of you because it's dark, obviously dark, then where's that light coming from that you're seeing with?
Inside.
Exactly. That's the light that lights the heart of every man or woman that comes into the world. That's the light, the true light that shines in the darkness, but the darkness comprehendeth it not. You follow what I'm saying? So when I hide that light under a bushel basket with an obvious blunt instrument like a black lampshade, then I give everyone in the circle, every one of you all, a pen or a needle, and I tell you to go forward one by one and stick a tiny hole in that lampshade. And then step back in line, in a circle, and hold hands again. When that's complete, every tiny hole y'all stuck in that lampshade, the light streams out of that little hole, am I right? So
that's right.
If it'll hit every man and woman in the chest where they are, and that would create the illusion of that's my light. Every individual would think that that's their light, and it would make them an individual. So I'm Cheryl, and I'm Amun, and I'm Terry, and I'm this one, and I'm that one, and I'm here. I'm in London, and you're in Georgia, and you're in Louisiana, and all that. But now, to show you that it's an illusion, and everything's in the same place at the same time, just vibrating on different frequencies, I'll walk into the center of the circle and snatch the lampshade off, right? And then I get back in the circle, we all hold hands, and the room is lit up bright again, right? And what do we realize by that act? We realize that
we all one.
Exactly. And we're all in the same place at the same time, but the illusion is that you're vibrating on different frequencies, so you think you're you, and I'm me, and you're there, and I'm here. So we have created with this three-dimensional hologram the illusion that we're individuals, and that and of course, if you poke your hole before I do in the lampshade, you think you're older than me, right, Terry?
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
Right, because you came into being first. I'm older than you.
Right.
And then you think I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But when I take off the lampshade, which I'm doing with these classes, and I keep trying to tell people, put these classes out, even if you don't understand the power of the content of it, put the classes out. Not the little foolishness that you think is, what are you doing? You trying to look like you know what the smart stuff is?
This call is being recorded.
This is the smart stuff. This is the stuff that you got to give to people to get them to transform. If this won't transform them, they're not going to make it. They're going to be left behind. If they can't elevate from the information coming through this class, they're not going to make it. You hear me?
That's right.
The rest of the stuff might be entertaining, but it's not going to get anybody into heaven, and definitely not out of hell. You understand what I'm saying here? So some people
this is my duty. Love is my duty.
Oh, my duty. How you doing? Brother, I haven't heard from him in a while. I was inspired to contact him. He's in Florida. He's been with us a long time. He's been with Malachi a long time. And
I'm in here too, Maria.
Who was it? Maror?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, I'm glad you're here. It's Maror. He's in Florida as well. But duty, can you tell them about how you were standing with Malachi and he gave you a shotgun and so you could be a security guard? Could you go through that for them? It might make it clearer for them to understand. But let me finish this one thing before you do. While you organize your thoughts, let me finish this one thing and make clear what I'm saying about the demonstration with with the lampshade, the lamp in the middle of the floor. Is that when you take the lamp off, you realize that it was all an illusion, or you should realize it was all an illusion. you thought that you were there and I was here, and you were younger or older, because by virtue of who stuck their holding the lamp first. But when I took the lampshade off, you realized that all of us were the same age. We just exist. The light is the light. And you realize that you're not an individual. Terry is right. We are all one. I was sent here by the Most High to you to raise you up to the frequency where you can understand Jesus when he said, when you see me, you see the Father. Now, everybody woke from that example should understand that when you see my light shining, you see the light of the Father, or the bright light in the center of the floor, which is your light, because we all share the same light. Can you see that? The light is the light, okay? And there's no here or there, because phonetically, in the illusion, when you spell over there, it starts with a T. And if I say where, you change the T to a W. But if you remove the T and the W, it's here. So where or there is actually here. It's in the same place, and they know that. You understand? Some people, they know that. Sophisticated beings, that some of them call themselves the illuminated ones, the Illuminati, disagreeable beings that are using this illusion to manipulate the souls of people. They want to use AI, or artificial intelligence, to try to trick people into thinking that all this is real, so they can create the sensation of being young or old or rich or poor or man or woman or this or that, and they're here or there. But it's all an illusion, like when you're driving a car and you cross a state line, going from Texas to Louisiana. When you look down at the highway, you can see a sign that separates, but you have never seen a line, a visible line, separating Texas from Louisiana. They just insinuate on a globe or a map that you're crossing a line, but the line is in your imagination. You're not really going from one place to another. And with ascending planes, you don't climb up steps like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because every plane is subdivided by 9 to the 9th power of 9, so that if you're on the 4th plane, if you're at the lower end of that frequency, you're vibrating basically the same place as a person on the 2nd plane that's on the highest vibration of the 2nd plane. It's basically the same proximity as the lowest vibration on the 4th plane, right? So that when you have a dimensional shift, and in other words, two worlds collide, then you can have interphasing. Just like with the phone call, somebody from Canada can cut into your frequency so that you all can see spacecraft. Some of you that are vibrating on high frequency see spacecraft, or you can see somebody walk through the room, or you can see different beings or light beings or something. I've stood up and I was standing in my parking lot outside in the daytime, and there was a little dark fellow, probably 4 feet tall, real dark with real big eyes, and he had on a striped shirt, and the stripes are going horizontal, which I thought was a bad choice because I had clothing stores for a long time, because horizontal stripes make a fat, short person look shorter and fatter. But anyway, he walked up to my right side and looked up at me. He had 4 arms. That's why I know he wasn't from here. And he had on this kind of mustard yellow, looked like a pleather leather coat, you know. And he looked up at me, and I looked down at him. We made eye contact very briefly. and then he just walked on back, and I turned around, he disappeared. But he didn't disappear. He just tuned out, or either I tuned out. But for that instant, I had tuned into Randy on a radio station in the car, and it was very clear. Till I hit a spot where I lost the channel, and I had to toggle the switch again to dial back in. You understand? And now and then is also an illusion, which you know by now, because it doesn't matter who stuck their pin in first and which light appeared as an individual first, because when I take the lampshade off, you realize that we're all one. But you got to understand in this illusion that today is just an extension of yesterday, and tomorrow will be an extension of today. Right? That's why tomorrow never comes, because it's always today. The time is now. So today is Sunday. When you wake up Monday morning, will you call that tomorrow? When you wake up?
It's today.
Yes, right. You call it today. Because every time tomorrow comes, it's still today. It's still now. Don't you see? And the illusion of being here is just like being in the world, towel hat. You think you're here, but as the world revolves on its axis around the sun, because we're under the sun, and the rays reflect out on the planet, as it revolves on its own axis, when it's facing the sun, you call that daylight. We were taught that by Malachi. And then when it revolves further, and you're around on not night, but what they call shadow time, you call that, when you're in front of the sun, day, and the time when it revolves around on the other side, you call that night. But my question is that if I were to take you out into the cosmos so far that this sun appeared to be a pin-like star, and you could barely make out the Earth with magnification, it was just a little dot in the heavens, a little dot in the heavens, like people that have traveled in the cosmos have noticed that they can see the Earth from out there. But you know, what time would it be to you when you saw the Earth from out there, light years away? And I emphasize light. What time would it be to you, or would the time just be now?
No.
Because you're not under
no
the sun.
time. I was out there.
You're not. I know you were out there. You were not under the sun, and you were not involved in this system of illusion where you thought there was a day and night passing, thereby using that system to calibrate what you imagine as time. If you were outside that system and outside this earth cast, there would be no time for you. You would be like the light in the center of the floor. You would just be. Don't you see? All of this that we call reality is based on illusion. It's predicated on a dream. Some of you that remember, like the brother Madudi in Florida, Malachi came out with a song called It's Only a Dream. My mind thinks it's real, but it's only a dream. And the people dancing in the club, they had a little dot on their forehead that was signifying they had a third eye that was open. And they could see past the lampshades and the suns and the shadow out of the daylight and London and distance and Georgia and Baton Rouge and age and what have you. In other words, they knew that they were immortal. That's why the sister that came over with the brothers last night, the brother that passed away, Anukas and Hotep in here with me now. they went to the supermarket, and they saw the brother there with his children. And the next morning, we got the call that he had passed away. That quick, right? He was gone, and they buried him Saturday morning, his body. But the group that he had, it was three of them, Cain and Joe and another brother. They had a rap group that Malachi organized for them, and he called it Immortal Bloodline. And he used to say this of the brother Cain. This nigga's the same as he was thousands of years ago. He ain't changed. He's the same. And I know he's right. You follow? Because I was trying to tell the young fella that he was from an immortal bloodline, and so am I. He was starseed, but I could never get his attention so he could come closer so I could finish elevating him. You know, like many people do, they get a certain amount of information, then they break away from me because they figure, I got it now. I can make it the rest of the way on my own. I can figure, no, you can't. You can't get there until you're there. And there is no way to the Father except through the Son. You can spell it phonetically, S-O-N or S-U-N, but that's the true light I'm giving you right there. And all these vast and variegated formulas and directions that you wasting your time and everybody else's. You can add that stuff as entertainment, but you're not going to get them to understand how to get from heaven, get from hell to heaven, or from the dream state to reality, except through these classes. If you can't understand that, then you just can't elevate. If you're still playing with yourself, you in that dream, and you're going to stay in a daydream until you get left behind. You'll never wake up. And you're putting other people to sleep. You understand? With all your schemes and what you think you're doing. All right, Brother Madudi, if you still have patience with me, if you could explain to them what you experienced with Malachi back in the day, and try to tell them the year as much as you can in the place.
Okay, well, I'm absolutely honored and grateful for you, Brother Amun.
And I am as well you. I want to say I was taught by Malachi, and I'm teaching y'all. It's a succession. It's like a baton race. There is no big or small in the eye of all. So everybody's thinking that one man was sent to do everything is living in an illusion. The Creator sent 124,000 prophets, 315 apostles, and one Messiah to every nation and people on earth at all these different times and junctions of elevated consciousness to get them ready to bring them back to reality. Back to life. To bring them back to reality. That's what home is when you reach the reality, when you achieve now, and you know all this is a dream. You know, but what happens with people is they get hung up on personalities because these beings that are sent, they're very bright lights and they're very magnetic personalities. And so the people with Elijah Muhammad, they think that he's the one and only, and he shot Tuesday, put Wednesday to bed. And so that after he completed his mission successfully, like Malachi did in the first half hour from 1970 to the year 2000. And he told y'all that over and over again. And if you don't believe it, send for a spiritual package from me, and I'll let him explain all these things to you. And he kept telling you that the year 2000 is Amun's time to rule. How many of you heard that from him out of his mouth? Him say, I am not the Messiah. I am not Jesus. That's right. And he kept saying, be prepared for the arrival of Christ. All right? Because I can take you through the tablets right now and prove to you in writing by his hand in the phone that he said that he was sent here to prepare you all for the arrival of the real Messiah. How many of you have seen that? Let me read
that church before. I remember reading that church the whole chapter before.
And this is Keith.
This is Hotel, and I have.
Yes, I remember.
All right. Well, I suggest to the people that are here that haven't seen that you get your holy tablets, and I'd like to beg the pardon of the brother Madudi again and ask him through his divine patience to please explain to y'all what he experienced with Malachi, just on that one experience. Not to say it's the only one he had, but the evidence
Not
that he
the
was
only one.
No, it's not. He was in the presence of divine. You see?
Yes. Yes. Hey, look, Brother Amun, excuse me for cutting your wisdom, brother. But now I'm ready to disperse this information, my personal experience, right?
Very good.
Like, I was fortunate enough to meet Malachi. He was known as Imam Isa back during that time. At 222 Utica Avenue. This is back in 1971. I was 17 years old. And I was there for a very short time, you know, and back during those days, he used to put on cultural shows, African cultural shows, to raise up money to pay the rent for the mosque at 222 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn. And so that morning he came to me and he handed me his military uniform, black military uniform, a black powder bush, and his military boot, and everything fit me like it was tailor-made for me, right? And he handed me a bag. Inside the bag was a sort of shotgun, you know. So he, so he had told me, said, hey, stay close by me, right? And so when we got back, it was uneventful, we made the money and everything. So as I was turning everything back over to him, I said, Imam Isa, with all these different brothers here that's been here with you, why did you choose me to do this? He looked at me and he smiled and he said, because I know you would have did what you had to do if you would have had to do it, and he walked away. Now, in my mind, I'm 17 years old, right? Because I'm the type of guy, I don't like to show my hand. I don't like to show my hand. When I was running those streets, I didn't want to be have no reputation or nothing like that. I always like to be on the low, right? So in my mind, I'm like, how did he know that about me? See, that was my first impression that he
was talking to
is
your
not
frequency.
the average bear.
No.
He is not the average bear.
No.
Far from it.
No.
He's extraordinary. Brother Amun, can I share another
Yes.
powerful experience
Yes.
that I've had with Malachi?
Please.
Okay. Thank you. He had put together a school bus, right? He had it painted in our colors and all of that, and he had, me and some bunch of other brothers loaded up in the school bus, and he took us up to Lincoln University in Philadelphia, right? And like, soon as we got there on the campus, he started seeking out the professors there, and he would question them. He was asking them questions that they could not answer. And, of course, he answered all their questions right and exact, And then before long, the word was out that we were there, and the professors was ghosts. You couldn't find none. They was hiding from them, right? And so we ran into this brother. His name later became Abdul Sami, right? Now, I'm 5'8.5". Doc, like I said, I fit all of his clothes, his shoes, his Tartar bush, everything. Me and Doc was the same size, right? Abdul Sami was 6 foot something. Abdul Sami was like a light-skinned brother with a beard. In fact, he looked like that typical image of Jesus, right? Like when a lot of people walls and stuff, right? And so the Imam was standing right in front of Abdul Sami, and I was standing right at on his left side. And he used to drink a lot of coffee back in those days. So he sent for some coffee, right? So when the coffee came back, this other brother, Abdul Rashid was the most skeptical guy I had ever met in my life up until this day. Abdul Rashid tapped me on my left shoulder. I turned to grab Imam's coffee, right? And when I turned back to the front to hand him the coffee, I had to look up at him.
Right.
And hand him the coffee because he had grew to the exact height of Abdul Sami. And I turned back to Rashid. I said, Rashid, the Imam grew. And he looked and said, oh, shit, he did grow, right? And so shortly after that, the Imam dispersed the brothers and told them to go and tabligh, around the campus. And me, him, and Abdul Sami, and this sister that Abdul Sami knew that was with him, that was another student of Lincoln University, we went inside the lobby of the university. We was like practically in the center of the lobby. And so, again, Imam Isa, known as Malachi today, he was sitting directly in front of Abdul Sami. I was sitting right to his left, and the sister was standing right to Abdul Sami's left, right? And so Abdul Sami said to, I'm going to refer to him the Imam, because that's what we called him back then, Imam Isa. He said, did you grow? And he said, yeah. He said, the information that I have to give you is so important that I have to look you right in your eye to give it to you. And he said, Abdul Salam, he's here to bear witness of me. And the sister is here to help to channel this energy. He said, look around. And we looked around. Like I said, we was like in the center of the lobby of Lincoln University. There was a lot of people going here and there and all that. He said, I'm going to put a force field around us. And once I put the force field around, nobody will be able to see us. And he put up the force field.
Another frequency.
And the next thing that I knew, we were flying. You know how, like, when the cartoons, like a magic carpet ride? That's how it was.
Like Muhammad took from Medina to Aqsa, yeah.
Yeah, it was as if we was on a magic carpet ride. And I remember I looked down and I saw what I felt was Jerusalem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, from that point, I blanked out. I couldn't remember anything else. The next thing I know is that we was back in the lobby of Lincoln University. And then he said, I'm going to remove the force field. As soon as he said that, this brother, another student, he came over to speak to Abdul Sami.
And
Can you
please mute your phones while the brother's speaking? We love children, but please mute the baby. You know that's not respectful. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that the brother came over and Abdul Sami was trying his best to tell that brother what he just experienced. But nothing could come out of his mouth. He couldn't utter a word.
Right.
So then, after he kept trying to, to talk, the guy said, "Oh, that's all right, man. I'll speak to you later," right? So when the guy walked away, so then Abdul Sami asked, Imam Isa, he said, "Did you do that?" He said, "Yeah, I did that, because you're not supposed to tell him that. You're not supposed to share that with him, And, and see, I say this to say this to you brothers and sisters, I don't care what nobody say about Doc, man. I love Doc. I know he is who he say he is.
Oh, yeah.
I know he is who he say he is.
That's right.
I don't suffer from illusions and delusions. My mother was the seventh child of 13 children. My mother was very wise. And she named me Earl when I came into this world. When you rearrange the letters of Earl, you get the word real. I'm that too. I've always been real. Even when I was out there running them streets, man. And up until now, that's why I'm on this call right now. Because our beloved brother Amun called me this earlier today, and he invited me on. Because, see, and then don't get it twisted, y'all. I do not worship. I don't put nobody on no pedestal, but I believe in giving credit where it's due. And I got utmost respect for our brother Amun.
I love you.
I love you more.
Yes.
Oh, God, me too.
I love you, too. I love all of you. Well, the exceptional blessing going to those that are trying to propagate this truth and help me raise the 144,000, which is your purpose in life. You may think it's nursing or achieving personal goals, but your purpose here is to help raise up your sleeping brothers and sisters and wake them up to the reality. Now, Anukas and Hotep, y'all live with me. Have y'all ever seen me stretch like that the way he's talking?
I sure have. Multiple times.
And I have. Right here, I'm sitting
and I
here.
even had a dream vision of him stretching up real tall with a multicolored coat on.
Yeah. I'm Hotep, and I'm sitting in his chair here by his computer, and I watched him walk out of his door, and his head was just about touching the top part of the frame of his door.
Yeah.
I recall a most where he and I were standing side by side in the kitchen, and he was closer to the counter, and I was by the stove, and I looked up at him. I said, "Amun, you got real tall." He said, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah, I had a white guy working on a computer here, which he did everything to destroy and dismantle the computer. That's why I need you all to assist in propagating the truth so heavy in these days and times. And I think the incident happened in order to wake you up to your responsibility. But we went outside in the dark, and there was one visible star in the sky, and I started moving it for him all over the sky with my finger. And I mean from one side of the sky to the other. And he's a retired policeman and a skeptic. But I asked him when I was about to move it again the second time, how far do you think you can move? I can move that star. He said, as far as you want to. That's what's happening. And then when he turned around to look at me, we were standing by the side of my car. And I noticed at the same time he did, and his eyes showed shock when he looked at me. I'm not kidding. I was so tall over this guy. He was at least 6 feet tall. I was looking down on him like he was just a dwarf, and he was looking way up at me. I'm serious. He was looking way up at me, you know, and he told me, how did you stretch like that? I said, I didn't do it consciously, but it happens all the time. Right. And these people here that saw me light up in the dark, and all of you here that have been through healing classes with me have seen your own spirit perspiring through your skin, and your hands disappear. Yes.
Yes, that was another extraordinary experience that I had with the Messiah. We were sitting one evening out in the front, in the front yard. We were sitting one evening out in the front yard, and as it grew dusk, as we maghrib, as we call it in Islam. So he was sitting in a chair to the right of me, facing me, and I was sort of like facing the outer toward the street. So when I turned to say something to him, I looked, I said, Amun, I said, there's this big old light of his whole body had lit up. This light shone off his body. It was like at least a foot wide. And from his whole, when he was sitting in the chair, his whole upper body was just lit up. I never saw it like that before. So Hotep had gone inside the house, and when he came outside, I said to him, without saying anything about what I just saw, I said, look at Amun, what do you see? He said, I see a bright light. I mean, it was so bright. And then I looked toward the sky, and I saw this another real bright streak of light. I said to Amun, did you see that? He said, yeah, that was me. I was so amazed by that. I never saw anything like that before in my life.
Yes, brothers and sisters, you're in a very dynamic and important time, a juncture in your passage. Don't miss it, thinking that you know and you can guide yourself and guide others. Because what's happening is not coming from me, it's coming through me, directly from the source, just like it did with Moses, Malachi, Jesus, all the rest of them. The emphasis is not on us, it's on you. I'm a mere messenger, just like a telephone. Imagine the source, right? And he has vehicles that he creates. You call them prophets, angels, and many different things. But what's more important to him? The one that carries the message, or the ones that he's sending the message to? You have to see. Make no distinction. Take the lampshade off. There is no big or small in the eye of all. We are all one. All of you here are potential gods and goddesses. My job, my mission, is to wake you up to the reality of who and what you are. Your potential is extremely, extremely unlimited. But you won't find it by burrowing deeper and deeper into dunya, into solid, natural, all of these things that you're getting yourself involved in, even if you're successful at it. And you make $10 million or you're famous. You'll still be time barred in this system because your light will go out. You will die, pass away. Your time is over, and you wasted your time imagining that you knew what you were doing, and you didn't. And everything that you acquired, all your fame, your riches, and all these great things, if you do, you leave them at the graveside. You can't take them with you. And when they bury you and drop your body, which is an empty shell by then, your present spirit will notice as soon as people get cold or uncomfortable or hungry, all you're going to hear is footsteps walking away from you. And all those people that you were showing off or doing these things for to impress, the only thing they're going to be doing, especially the ones close to you, is arguing on the way home over who gets what, over what you wasted your life trying to earn. Don't you see? Don't you see? This mission to reconnect with your higher self is the only noble pursuit. The rest of it's an illusion. Wake up before the door closes on you. Right? Now, I can tell you all so many experiences that I had to tie into this that the class would be over and I'd still be talking. But many of you know me by now, and by a show of hands and voices, how many of you here have moved stars and did things like that with me that people usually describe as miraculous or impossible? How many of you can bear witness to that?
This is Anuki. I can bear witness to that, even to date.
I can.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about watching me do it. I'm talking about how many of you all have done it.
I've done it. This is Lucas. I have done it, and I do it almost every night.
I've done it.
All right, and Cheryl,
Same thing with me.
Same thing with you.
I've done it. This is Unc.
In Texas, and Cheryl is in London. So you see, there's no distance at all. I seriously went to her, even if she doesn't remember. Or she thought it was a dream. It was real. But all I did was lift the veil or take the lampshade off. There's no you and me here and there or now and then. Everything is here and now. The person that keeps unmuting the phone, why are you doing that to be a constant distraction to the class? If you have something more important to say to the people, then why don't you step forward and communicate it? Or admit to yourself you're being a distraction. All right. Now, who is that next question that you'd like to ask?
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, just a question. So, after all those travels or teleporting or being on a different frequency, when you come back to this frequency or this physical, are there any particular markers or anything that you will notice or that's you carried over?
Just the experience or the memory of it. It is just like a dream. And death and sleep are brothers and sisters. The only difference is that when you sleep, your etheric cord is intact. And when you travel out of your body, by the expansion of that etheric tube at the crown molar of your head and the light that's in the temple, which is not a building or a church down the street, but the place on the side of your head next to your ears, that light raises in vibration every night at the mouth of that tube and causes it to expand until it's wide enough to accommodate the light, which is the true essence of you, or the spiritual entity, a simple electromagnetism. It travels into that hollow tube, and you have a sensation of flying or traveling and seeing one scene after another. You follow me? And then when you get through, you go back to your body, and you feel sometimes like you're falling, but you're not. You're sliding down that tube like in the movie Sliders, lets you know that they know, and you pop back into your head. And some of you, when you achieve consciousness in the body, you try to move, rush, and stand up or move, and you get afraid because they say it's a wish riding your back because you're sleep paralysis. You have to be patient enough to allow that light to travel back down the light cord of your spine and relocate itself in the solar plexus so it can reconnect the nerve ganglia in order to send electrical impulses to your muscles to cause them to contract and expand, to move fingers and hands and eventually toes and feet so you can operate that body again and you stand up. But the spiritual aspect of you is not connected to this realm. It doesn't belong to it. You are all an enigma, I tell you. So that if you can imagine looking at an empty place to sit in the room you're in, imagine me placing your soul over there, your spirit, your memories, your personality, your emotions, your feelings, and your thoughts all in that other empty chair. Well, just think to yourself, what would be left on the phone here with us? Just a shell. And that's exactly what people that are lost are sacrificing their life for. A shell. Because the reality of you, the glory of you, is not of this realm. It doesn't deal with the things that you think are worthy of sacrificing your time. You are great. He was in you is greater than he was in the world. Remember that. I am in all, and all is in me. When you realize that all is in you, you stop throwing yourself away for what you think is outside of you. Nothing but a shell. You hear me? What you good is,
Yes.
listen to me. I'm serious. And I say that with a heart, a teardrop and a smile. It's a heartfelt whisper. Whatever you're chasing, it's like a child running after a full moon. It looks like they can touch it, but they never do. Like those horses that they put the stick over their head with the fruit at the end of it, and they trot after it all day long. At the end of the day, they're just exhausted and sweaty, never having gotten a bite of the fruit. You're just running after something you can't attain. When the reality of it is, there's nothing in physical reality that can push a living soul. People that get rich, they buy a new car, and then they want another car. They get a woman or a man, and they want another one. They get a mansion. They want a bigger mansion. Then they want another mansion. But at the end of the day, they're never satisfied because you can't eat enough food to quench the magnitude of your essence of a spiritual giant. You can't sleep with more than one woman at a time or man. You can't drive but one car at a time. You can't live in but one house. So it's all in your mind about you got 9 houses. How many can you live in? How many cars can you drive? Don't you see? I almost said children. Can't you see? That your journey is within, into the greater mysteries, into the reality of who and what you are, because there lies the real treasure. Now, all of your life experiences accumulated have raised you up to an awareness so that you're prepared and ready to do the job now. Now, ask all the questions you want till you confirm to yourself that what I'm saying is real and true, or what you're hearing through your brothers and sisters and indeed through yourselves, through personal experience, and then go to work and ask me how best you can serve, and it'll be to propagate the truth, to wake up your brothers and sisters. Until you raise up and reach the number of 144,000, nobody is going because the mission is not complete. So everything you're doing or think you're doing is fruitless, don't you see? Your mission and purpose for being here is the same as mine, the same as Malachi's. Your purpose is to raise up your brothers and sisters. They're not individuals. It's all the same light. You have to raise up the light. If everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. You hear me?
Yeah.
Don't keep your light under a bushel basket. Don't do it. You're much brighter than you imagine. And what you're trying to achieve, I'll do my best.
Why are the energies always attacking us or myself?
Well, because
I could tell the good energy. But the bad ones, they kind of tear me up, you know. And I prayed to God. I know my angels. I know they protect me because they come around. But the energies is like they never stop.
I follow you.
They never stop.
Believe it or not, I understand. Well, you never stop. Mind your mind for the dues of your soul. It's just like when you go into a dream. What comes to the fore in your mind in a dream is the last thing that you had emphasized to focus your thoughts on, even if it was a movie. Don't let it be Freddy Krueger or Frankenstein, because your dream could be a similitude to that. So wherever your focus is, make sure that you're in a positive environment, that you are what you think, like people physical are what they eat. You see, if you're around negative people in negative environments, you're going to have a negative thought frequency, and it's going to create more negativity, right? And even if you try to get rid of negative things like the devil, right? Like it was a sister, she's still with me off and on, but she was afraid of her old man. Said he was a monster. He would beat her and do different things and abuse her. And sometime when at the height of the argument, she could see him shapeshift into a reptile. And she asked me, what could she do to control it? I said, well, the one thing is that you have to try to take back your power and realize that you had a life before you met that man. You understand? And the question is not how do you control it. The question is why do you continue to allow that man to treat you that way? Why do you continue to allow it? I mean, as far as like a little kid that's afraid of the dark in a room, they want me to, make the dark go away. Well, really, it's not the dark that you fear. It's the unknown, because you don't know what's in it. I'm here to answer your questions and throw light in blind corners. What I was to say as a child is that turn on the light, right? The truth is the light, and your fear will disappear. Because what happens to the darkness when you turn the light on?
Goes away.
And your fear with it. It goes away, and your fear with it. You follow me? It's part of my mission to remove the fears of death from you all. And I've accomplished that to a certain degree. So how many of you here were afraid of death, terrified of it before you came to me, and now you're no longer really terrified?
I admit that.
I was.
Yes. You scared yourself so many times.
I was.
Right. But what we call in devils and monsters, what have you, is our own consciousness attacking us like a little boy in a room in the height of a thunderstorm, and the lightning is striking, and he's pulling his head under the cover because he's scared, because when the lightning flashes, it looks like some man standing over here with a hatchet, when it's really his coat hanging on the hook on the back of the door. Don't you understand? At the end of the day, if you're the only one in the room, who do you think is in there frightening you, sister? Some aspect of your own consciousness, your own imagination is frightening you. Don't let your mind run away with you. And what is your name, sister? You have a very clear frequency.
I am Cynthia Jenkins.
Okay, I hear you, guys. Well, you have to start looking at positive environmental shows, nature. And this class that we teaching tonight, you all should be recording every class that you have here. And then replay them in your sleep while you sleep. And you always wake up refreshed and energized and haven't answered the question that you didn't think you had the answers to. Because the things, the experiences that myself and the brother Madudi and everybody here are explaining to you and describing, and you yourself have been borne witness to, all of these experiences culminate to be keys in your mind that'll open up any door, and we'll call them questions. And once you have all the answers and you know what's going on about, and you know the truth about everything, then what is there to fear? There's no more darkness, only light. And if you know everything, there's nothing to fear because you know that you are the light. And there's nothing here but you. Don't fear yourself. You hear me?
Yeah.
Because whatever it is that you say has been chasing you all your life, consistently, evidently because you're on this call tonight, it never caught you, has it? Whatever your fears that you imagine.
That's the funny. I don't fear anybody but God. So I don't fear losing my life because I know I'm here for a reason.
My point is that you are God. Well, then you have no fear because you are God, sister.
Okay.
You are God. You are all. And once you realize you are all, then there's nothing to fear, literally. Nothing. Right. And people that get lost in this morass, it's tragic because they can fear death itself so much that they're unfit to even live a life. You follow me? Because so much of their life is taken up in fear of death that they can't enjoy every day. Do you understand that terror can grip you of the things that you imagine can happen to you in your imagination? And you can see these things because imagination, the first word in imagination is image. You follow? You're imagining all these different things. But once you start vibrating on a higher frequency and you have all these positive thoughts and you reconsider things and know that this is not like church where the reverend, has a sermon and everybody gets excited and beat tambourines and pass out and faint and get all excited and they got the light shining, then they go outside in the world and they go back home and take their bills out the mailbox, look at their car and their living condition, and all that stuff fades away until next Sunday. I'm telling you.
Excuse me, Amun, but it's 10:29.
All right. I love you. All of you here, please go outside right now and perform this miracle that we do as a ritual. Move stars right now tonight. And the importance of that is, it's not ego. You're exercising your own spiritual muscle to take the atrophy out of it. Because every time you move a star or even bear witness to someone else doing it, you are no longer just a mortal. At the very least, you're a Homo galactica. You're part human and part cosmic, angelic being. Because human beings can't move stars. Indeed, human beings can't even see stars move. So, who's gonna be the first one? Come in. Yeah, it's raining here. Cheryl, what do you have in London? You see a star? Okay, very good.
Yeah,
where you located, brother?
Florida, Miami, Katat.
Okay, Katat. I'm glad. I love you, son. What you gonna do with that star? I see it now. I just turned out the light. I see it. I'm inside the house. It's raining here, but I see it. What are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna move it up in the name of Amun-Rayay.
All right. All of you should be outside to bear witness to that star raising and say it when you see it going up.
It's going up. I'm going to take it to the left. Up. Of Amun-Rayay.
Which way you gonna move? Did you say?
Yeah. You want to the left?
Or you want to go left?
And it's going left. A lot.
Completely overcast.
To the right.
Wow, it's a full moon tonight, too.
Okay, Maduri, we'll do something special with you with the moon. Move to the right.
It's going to the right. It's going right.
It's wobbling, too. Yeah.
Let's drop it down in the name of Amun-Rayay. Going down. Drop it down. Now let's take it in a clockwise circle in the name of Amun-Rayay.
Duty, you should be able to see that star he's moving.
He's going clockwise.
I do.
That's him. He's in Florida with you. But if he was on the moon, it would be doing the same thing.
That was cool.
All right.
Oh.
I love you, son. Okay, but Duty, that moon you see, what are you going to do with it? My Duty?
Yes.
What are you going to do with that full moon? You do realize that moon is you, and you are that moon. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm standing almost directly underneath it.
I see it.
And, yeah. Okay.
Which way are you going to move it?
I'm going to move it to my right.
Okay.
Wow.
Move to the right.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, what else you going to do with it, guys?
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Which way you going to move it down?
Wow. I'm going to move it to the left.
The blue orange went to the left.
There you go. You want to make it go in a circle, Madudi, clockwise?
Yeah, let's move it clockwise.
There's a perfect circle going around.
I love you. Now, Madudi, I told you you are the moon. We're going to put your face in the moon. You're going to be the man in the moon. You're going to be able to see you're going to be able to see your eyes. You see your mouth talking. You see an aura around you. And you see your brown skin. I can see your mouth moving from here. Your nose, your eyes. I can see your brown skin, brother.
Wow. Wow. You know, what it looks like, what I see is an owl.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now it's changed. The owl is back.
You see the mouth
Wow.
moving? See the mouth moving? That's you. See, what it is I want you to realize that you are all. And that's your consciousness looking back down on you while you're looking up at it. Like I told the sister, there's nothing to fear because everything you think is out there is inside of you.
Yeah.
And that'll be the focus of the next class. I want next class emphasize and prove to you all that everything you think is out there is inside of you. Even when you're inside of a room, don't do that. When you're inside of a room, you imagine that you're inside the room, but the room is inside of you. Don't you see?
Yeah.
Right. The stars are not out there, neither is the moon. They're inside of you. Because, Madudi, you can go inside right now and close your door, lay down in the dark, and you can strike that image of the moon and the stars and that sky up right now in your room. Don't you know that with your eyes closed? Like I'm doing right now. Don't you see?
Yes.
Right. There is no out there. Everything is in you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You hear me, Earl? The kingdom of heaven is within you.
Yes.
God is in his temple. Well, what it is he revolves around people that are not conscious until they realize that they are God, and then he'll enter the temple and mount his throne. And then you can do anything, including moving stars and the moon. Don't you see that?
Yes.
And that's greater than anything we can achieve in this illusion, don't you see? The ability to do anything and realize that you're immortal and remove the fears of death. And know that there's nothing that you can do anything you can imagine. You're only restricted by the limitations of your own imagination. And the more you imagine, the more you can do. And the more you do and imagine, the more you can imagine. There's no end. There's no end. There is no end. Just like there was never a beginning. The self-realization that you're God, that is the whole point of being here. This is a school. I'm just another teacher in a long, long line. But what's important is to remember I'm the last teacher for this cycle. The last. If you miss me, you miss yourself. And that's the pain of it. You follow me? Don't hear them push-ups walking away from you. You hear me? Because you realize, because when you're down there, the thing you realize, the only one with you is the one that was always with you, which is you. A deity, that God is you. Maror, what are you going to do for us in Florida? You going to move the whole creation? Let Madudi see you do that.
All right, I'm going to move the whole creation.
Which way are you going to move it?
Hold on, somebody just pull up playing their music. You hear me?
Yes. Which way are you going to move it?
I want all creation to go up in the name of the Messiah, Amun-Rayay. All creation.
Go up.
Every star, go up. Keep going. Keep going. Stop and go to the right in the name of Amun-Rayay. All creation go to the right. Keep on going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. All creation go back to the left in the name of Amun-Rayay. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. All creation go clockwise circle. All creation go in the circle clockwise. In the name of Amun-Rayay. And I can feel it in me. All creation is going in a circle.
Yes. Also,
and go up one more time.
Okay.
One more time. Go up for all to see. One more time. Go up. Keep on going.
Can you see it, Madudi?
Keep on going.
Now, drop down.
Yeah, drop down. Thank you. Tower hot.
All right. See, the thing is that everybody with me, when they get their name through me, everybody's name is Amun. Somewhere in their name is Amun. So whenever they perform a miracle or healing, they do it in the name of Amun. You see, there's a method to the madness because we're doing it in our collective name. We're all Amun, don't you see? That's what I'm here to get you to realize. There is no central figure that's charismatic to the group, or one leader that we should follow, but we should all hold hands and walk together into that light. And there'll be no more fear, no more darkness, don't you see? The reason because she was back in the days with me and the brother Madudi, and in the days of Imam Issa. And so is the sister here with me right now, Anukas. So there are people here with duty that were back there with us. You see what I mean? And we experienced those first schools. The thing is we held on to the rope. And I don't want people to let go because they think it's only one hand. You follow me?
Yes.
What you're going to realize is like I did. I had a vision. I was traveling out in the cosmos, and it was real black, inky black. I was going further and further out. And then I saw this piercing bright light. And as I moved closer, it got brighter and brighter and bigger and bigger. As I got closer, I could start making out little details. And I could make out what looked like the North American continent and Africa, and I could make out like polar ice. And I realized the closer I got that it was the world. And it was hanging in the darkness by a golden chain. And when I started raising my vision up the chain, there was a big black hand holding onto that chain, and the whole world was just a tiny bauble. And I tell you all right now, if I had the whole world and everything contained to place in your mouth as a tiny morsel, Brother Amun would deem it much too small. Put this truth out. Twitter, Facebook, large groups all over the world. Bring your brothers and sisters to class. That's how you're going to achieve your greatness. That's how you're going to achieve your immortal, eternal throne. Wake up, God. Love you.